Elbow pain is the most common pain that I have fixed for my clients. So this is the complete guide to fixing elbow pain so you don't have to deal with it in any aspect of your life. The three most common types of elbow pain is tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, and then just general arthritis throughout the elbow. So for tennis elbow, it's often a problem with overusing the grip. What you'll find is the common cause, but mainly in the extension range. And then also when you're using power tools and there's lots of shaking, this is again, overusing the grip. And also for the dominant side, so if you're only using one side, it seems to be a bigger problem with the tennis elbow. If your rotator cuff is weak, it's also a common problem to have the pain in the elbow because the elbow is taking the hit for what the shoulder is not stabilizing. And you have golfer's elbow, which is typically on the inside. And this is a common problem with over flexing in instead of extension. It's the flexion aspect, but also the pronation. So as the elbow goes over and the forearm is on top, you get more pain in here. The other people who commonly get this one is the repetitive hand movers. So you can look at knitters and things like that, or if you sew, crochet, all of those things have been common causes of the elbow pain that I have fixed. And it's common to see that faulty technique in sports like golf and tennis can actually cause this pain. The arthritis situation is a lot of the time too weak overall throughout the body with imbalances. So overusing certain forms of grip and not using the other ones to the point that you don't get enough blood flow to the ones that are not used and the elbow starts to degenerate. And what we're gonna do with these exercises is start to get the blood flow back to the elbow to regenerate it. So let's get started in movements because that's why you're actually here. So the first movement we're gonna talk about is elbow flossing, which is when you wrap the band around your elbow. It can be a little bit difficult to do by yourself, but I'm gonna show you how, because if you're by yourself, then you're gonna need to do it. If you have someone, they'll just hold it in place and start wrapping. If you are by yourself, you're gonna have a little bit of extra band. Just hold it with your fingers like this. You're gonna go up to your elbow and start wrapping around it. As you get around the elbow, it gets a little more difficult to get the upper side, but then you hold it and push it back into your body and then back around. If there's gaps, just cover them back up with the band. This does take a little bit to do it by yourself, so if you have someone, do ask them to do it, and it will also be a little bit tighter. But while you're doing it, it gets to the point that it has quite a bit of tension around the elbow. If it pops, it's just fine, just keep the tension on it. And then from there, once you get the whole band wrapped up, you're gonna tie it and lock it in under the other part of the band. And then you can just let that go because it's not really necessary. You're gonna start flexing the elbow, moving it around here, rotating it up that way, down all the way to the bottom. Every angle that you can do. This one could use a little bit more on the forearm. So I'm gonna wrap this piece around the forearm just to give you that view. And then you tighten this back in as well. You're just doing these movements all around. It opens up on the elbow like you see there. That's just fine. Fingers can do movements. If you do this, you'll feel it differently. And then you're just going around. If you have a movement that often hurts, so like oftentimes people are picking up things this way, it'll hurt. Do that movement with the band on because the band will hold the elbow in position and it will feel a lot better. So this is number one on fixing any elbow pain. And sometimes if you just do this, you can start getting enough blood flow back to the elbow. That will make it feel good and you get rid of that pain. So after flossing, we're gonna now talk about grip in general and all the different angles of it. It's gonna start in the wrist and forearm. So wrist extension is gonna be the first section. We're opening up the hand as we go here. So the first exercise that I'll talk about here is bringing the wrist into about your solar plexus and then cocking the knuckles as far up to the elbow as you can and then opening up the fingers. Sometimes you feel a tightness through here. You're just going through. All of this stuff is working. You're getting blood flow throughout the forearm. Doing 20 of these can be great and really open up this part because you're starting to learn to flex here. The dumbbells can also be used, but what I would encourage you get before you even look at dumbbells is the band to do finger extensions. I would keep one of these in your car with you, and you can just open up the hand while you drive with this hand, and then you do this hand as well to make sure you don't get the elbow pain on the good side. So do the bad side first, and then go to the good side. About 50 reps with a light one, or about 20 reps with something that's a little bit heavier. It can be very quick, but you'll start to feel it light up this area, bring a bunch of blood flow there. The dumbbells, hands on the knees, curling down first, so you're flexing into your knees, and then opening all the way up. All the way down, and then all the way up. The fat grips change the feeling quite a bit, so as you get it more advanced, you can start using fat grips and doing the exact same thing. Wrist extension, training all the extensors in the forearm, and then moving on to the next ones, which is the flexors, so the inside of the forearm. So for the flexors, pinching a squishy ball, or this is a hacky sack, with each of your fingers, it's very good. Another one that you can do in the car. So the thing with grip is that you're gonna wanna train it basically daily, not bi-daily, every other day. So having stuff in the car can be super useful, or at your desk for when you get bored and you're learning something, or you're writing something up, but you only need one hand. So squeezing each finger separately, super beneficial for the flexors. Changes how you use the grip. Oftentimes we have patterns that we overuse the same fingers again, and again. Next one is grippers, which there's many different variations of grippers. You can have these little rings you're just flexing in, and you can have the normal ones that you see where you're flexing closed. This one is 100 pounds, and this one is 30 pounds. Nice and easy. What I like to do with them when they're light, you flex, curl the wrist in, curl the wrist out. In, out, but you're working on flexion of the grip, in and out, and then you can even say hello, like hello, hello, you know? Nice and easy. You can do it with the same thing here, but look at, as I grip in here, strongest part of the grip gets weaker and it starts to open up. So that's why I like to do it with a little bit of a lighter one. The dumbbells also work for this. Again, fat grips make it more difficult. You're down and then you're flexing up. It's a different form of grip if you put your thumb on there and open all the way up versus if you have your thumb open. Both are good. There's no bad forms of grip when you're training. They're just all different. Pinching is another form of grip, of squeezing, that you're going to be here. So doing plate pinches, super valuable. It's very similar to the ball pinches that we were doing in the beginning, but this is starting to get it stronger. You can play games by catching it, but this is only if the elbow is pain-free. And then you can even aim to spin it and catch it like that. So that works the elbow quite a bit in uncontrolled circumstances. So if your elbow is pain-free, that's fine. But if it's not, just work on the pinching for now. The last one is the hanging. So we're here. I like to have everybody hang because it starts working on that rotator cuff that can affect the elbow quite a bit. We're just hanging here, opening up the shoulders, but working on the grip. What you'll realize is that your fingers are actually stronger when they're in this position, but we want to get the full grip around while we're hanging and hang from there. And then as our hands slip, we'll be here, which is fine. Just gets different angles of grip. Again, very beneficial. The grip or wrist bars is the last section of this. You can use a hammer, which is why I have this as an example. There's going to be 4 different movements that are tied with this. So if we're sitting, we're going down and then coming back up. This is working your radial flexion. So from here up is the radial flexion. We're getting all of these movements. Then we're gonna flip around and keep the arms straight. This is working your ulnar flexion as you're coming up that way. What you'll find is typically if your elbow pain is on the outside of your elbow, this might be a little bit more difficult versus when it's on the inside, this might be a little bit more difficult. It just depends. I've seen it inverse as well. It depends on which forearm muscles are aggravating the elbow injury. Then you have pronation and supination. So you're here, you're going out, then you're coming back in. This is pronation. You're working the motion from here over. On all of these, we want to keep the elbows in the same spot. So no matter if they're here or if you're working them in a harder position where they're out here, the elbows aren't moving. They're just rotating and then pulling back. Same thing with down here. The elbows aren't moving. It's just the wrist that's causing that motion, which is rotating the whole forearm. The last one is the supination. So we're here and opening back up. So it's really just this portion and opening. So to go over the 4 real quick, we have radial flexion, then we have ulnar flexion, or some people will call them deviation. Then we have supination, which is pulling from the inside out, and then pronation, which is from the outside in. So if you hit all 4 of those, that'll be super key for helping the elbow. When my mom was having elbow pain, I would have her use the hammer inside while she was watching TV, and she would just do little motions of all the different angles, and her elbow got better quite fast. So from here, we're gonna move on to the arms, which can be the reason that you have long-term elbow pain or short-term, and it's a quick fix. So the arm section, we won't go over every arm exercise because I'll be here for hours, but I'm gonna go through the basic ranges that I want you to hit with the arms so you build out the complete elbow rebuild instead of just partial, because if we do partial, then you're just gonna get injured again. So it's not very helpful. The first movement is the reverse curl, and there's 2 different variations that I'm gonna teach on this. The first one is the Zotman curl. So this is an eccentric overload. So you're curling up normal here, and then you're rotating at the top. Works a little bit of that rotation, and then you're controlling back down. When your arm is pronated, works more of the brachioradialis, which is right here, versus when it's supinated, you can work more of the bicep. So we're curling up, rotating, changing where the tension is, and then controlling back down. The brachioradialis is extremely fast twitch, so that's where an easy bar can be super useful, loading it up very heavy, and then curling up to the top, squeezing, controlling down slow. So if there was one exercise I'd give you for the arms, it would be the reverse curl with the easy bar or the Zotman curl. Basically, the brachioradialis is typically super weak compared to the rest of the arm, and that's where a lot of the elbow pain comes from. So all of the bicep stuff that we'll do and the tricep stuff can be done at different angles. It needs different angles to stimulate the elbow. So if you get stuck in only doing one angle, I only curl this way, your elbow doesn't get balanced out. It actually gets imbalanced from the training you're doing. You're probably causing more harm than good. So you want to hit all of these ranges and then change how the grip works on every single thing that you're doing. So we'll start with the biceps. We're going to hit the 3 basic ranges, then go to the triceps, get the 3 basic ranges there. The first one is the elbows in front of you. This is going to hit more of the short head, the bicep. So I'm just going to show you with one arm because not enough space, but basic preacher curl. We're here, curling down, and then coming back up. Like I said, you can do this with reverse grip. It changes probably the most tension you can get on the elbow when you have the elbow in front of you and then doing the reverse curl. You can see right there, there's quite a bit of tension on that brachioradialis. The middle is just a standing curl. We're going here and curling the barbell, the easy bar, the dumbbells, all super, super valuable to get different variations. You could do the hammer curls. You can do just normal reverse curls. All of these different angles, like I said before, super valuable. An angle that is often missed with biceps is the line curl, where the elbows are then behind the body. So we're opening up this range, feeling the stretch throughout the long head of the bicep into the chest, and then curling back up without lifting the elbows up. So keeping this down, elbows are pulled back, the back is all flexed, and then we're curling up. So those are the 3 for the biceps, and then we'll go to the triceps. For the triceps, there's 3 angles as well. You have the elbows next to you or on your side, kind of in this range. Then you have the elbows perpendicular to the body in this range. You have the elbows overhead. All of those are gonna work the triceps differently while you're extending the arms. So first, we got tricep extensions. Using a pulley machine is best. The bands can work, but I encourage you hold at the bottom if you have a band, because that's where the tension is the most. You want to feel that stretch. So the elbows are next to you. Boom, going through each one. A workout that's super fun to train all of these ranges is having a bench, and then just if it goes decline, which this one does not, you do decline tricep extensions, which is that range, and then you go to slight incline or flat tricep extensions, which is perpendicular to the body. So where we're here on that next angle, elbows stay perpendicular to the body, curling all the way down, and then extending back up. And then you have the overhead, which is the French press, where we're here, going. So those are the 3 ranges for the triceps. What most people don't know about the triceps is that all of these different angles are still valid for the triceps. Doing them pronated, doing them supinated as well. Just make sure your grip is sturdy enough. You're not going to drop the weights on your head, of course, but all of the angles are valid. I've said that enough times that hopefully it got through your head and now to your elbow almost. So now that you know how to train the grip and the arms, the elbows have the possibility to be better in the future. And that's all that we want. We want to get the elbows to where they feel confident to go through life without any hesitation. The 3 things that you need to make sure you kind of think about as you go through this elbow training is that the grip stuff can be trained every day. So doing the grip stuff in the car, super beneficial, but it is an overuse injury. So if you're overusing the grip in a certain way, and then you're training that same way, which we want to actually avoid that same way, we want to do the other ways, the injury could get worse. And that's where people go, oh, it didn't work. Well, they were doing the exercises that were making it worse instead of the exercises that were making it better, and they were working their weak points. The arms are super fast twitch, so they respond well to heavy weight, but if you're injured, you can't use heavy weight. So be cautious on going too heavy because you want to lift heavy with the arms, but also not heavy enough, because if you're not heavy enough, you won't get the stimulus that you really want. The grip can respond well to light with high volume, but the arm work often needs a little bit more weight to have a better result in the long term. And the last one is shoulder stability. If your shoulders are super, super weak, then the elbow can only do so much. So you may need to go watch the shoulder videos that I have to fix the shoulders, so then the elbow stops getting overused. And I'm gonna add a 4th one because it's fun. Don't test the elbow injury every single day. This is the only injury that I've seen for people where they seem to want to hurt the elbow each day when they wake up to see if it's still injured. It's gonna be injured until it's not injured anymore, and that's my wise words for you. So just keep doing the work. Maybe test it once a week. Do the motion that used to hurt it all the time, but don't do it every morning because you're reinforcing the mental fact that your elbow hurts. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and now you have the ingredients to get out of elbow pain so you can enjoy life.